Hey, welcome back to the Reclaim Your Pleasure podcast, lovely listeners. I'm your host, Krystal, certified people pleaser in recovery and boundary coach extraordinaire. Today, we're diving into something super sneaky, something that has wrapped itself around so many of us so tightly, we almost didn't notice it anymore. The perks of people pleasing. Yep, the perks. Did you know that there's actual perks to this? I mean, I get something out of people pleasing, don't you? That's why we keep doing it. There's always a secondary benefit. In fact, there's something called Adlerian psychology, the belief that we don't do things currently, or we are not in a state of doing something as an effect of a cause in our past. Rather, we do things now because we have a goal of doing them. We get something out of it by performing or behaving a certain way. People pleasing gives us a real joy. That joy is making other people feel good. Plus, when we were kids, we were rewarded for it. We were labeled the good girl or the high achiever or the effort giver. I don't know about you, but when I wasn't pleasing, I was called, well, a bitch. Yep, as women, when we are not pleasing, we are a downright bitch. Can anyone else here relate? Like, there's no middle ground between a saint or a sinner, hero or a villain. But seriously, what was the alternative? Not people pleasing? And then what? Getting in trouble? Being shunned? You see, when we're young, people pleasing is practically a survival tactic. So of course, we got really good at surviving. We got really good at people pleasing. It kept us safe. It kept us feeling loved. And like a lot of things that kept us safe as kids, it's not serving us so well anymore. But boy, does it come with some perks, huh? And that's what we're talking about today. The hidden perks of people pleasing, why we can't let go, and how to start easing off that good girl identity. All right, let's get into it. So here's the deal. People pleasing, like most habits we develop in childhood, comes with what psychologists call secondary benefits. What it means is that we keep doing something because we get something out of it. And no, I'm not talking about just making someone else happy or keeping the peace. We're talking about the perks you might not even realize that you're getting. For example, people pleasing gives us a false sense of control. Think about it. If I'm constantly keeping everyone around me happy, then maybe, just maybe, things won't blow up in my face. It's like that ultimate emotional insurance policy. I know if you are one of my people pleasers out there, you're nodding. And if you know a people pleaser out there, you probably understand it too. We keep things smooth so that we don't have to deal with the discomfort. It is our way of avoiding it, of controlling that uncomfortable feeling. But here's the catch. Discomfort is part of life. You can't control everything, no matter how many smiles and favors you dish out. Feeling the discomfort lets you know you are finally making change. And when you feel discomfort about something, sit in it, process it. Enjoy the fact that you are not trying to please people to get out of the discomfort. Here's another sneaky perk with people pleasing. We get to avoid conflict. Kind of mentioned it before, but a people pleaser's favorite hobby is not rocking the boat. I mean, raise your hand if you've said yes to something you didn't want to do just to avoid an argument. And if you're raising a hand right now, I can't physically see you, but you're doing it anyway because you're so accustomed to people pleasing that you are probably the first one shooting up your hand, even if people are around you right now. Without being able to hear this podcast, they see that you are responding to me because you're so in tune to pleasing others. You just want to avoid the conflict. Conflict avoidance feels so good in the short term. It's easier to walk away or agree and not have an opinion of your own, or share the opinion if you have one. But over time, it leaves us burnt out. It leaves us questioning our own identity. Who am I anymore? What do I like? What do I want? And resentment also builds. You're disconnected from who you really are. And then there's this. People pleasing often makes us feel needed. People pleasing and codependency are very strongly correlated. And let's be real, codependency is that need to feel needed. And it feels good to be the one people rely on, at least when you're a people pleaser. Other people don't like that feeling, but us, we love it. We feel like we matter, like we have some sense of importance. And that need to feel needed gives us external validation. It's an ego boost. We tell ourselves, if I don't do this, no one else will. Or they won't like me if I say no. We become the glue that holds everything together. But at what cost? Here's the problem. The secondary benefits of people pleasing are not sustainable. Sure, we might avoid conflict and keep control for a little while, but the long-term costs are big. We lose ourselves in the process. We start to feel exhausted, trapped, unfulfilled, and we don't get what we actually need in relationships. We're too busy being what the other person wants or needs in the relationships and too afraid to communicate our own needs. That's why we end up exhausted, trapped, and unfulfilled. Terry Real, the good old relational life therapist, love this guy, by the way. He says that the behaviors we develop in childhood to survive become maladaptive as adults. In other words, what we worked on back then, A+ survival tactic, but now not so much. What was once adaptive is now messing up our lives. And he's right. As adults, those behaviors keep us stuck in patterns that no longer serve us. People pleasing is one of those patterns. It kept us safe when we were young, but now it's just preventing us from living authentically and forming deeper, healthier relationships. Okay, so you get it. People pleasing has perks, but also it's costing us big time. So now what? How do we start letting go? Get out your writing utensil. Get out the paper. I don't care if it's a Remarkable, if it's notes on your iPhone or Android device or computer. Look, you get the point. I'm naming them all. Start jotting this down. First step, get comfortable with discomfort. I know it sounds horrible, may make you cringe. When I first heard this, I was at an Overeaters Anonymous group, but it was huge for me because I realized that I was numbing the feelings of discomfort with food. I hated making anyone else feel uncomfortable. So much so, I hated my own self feeling uncomfortable even when I was alone, that if I wanted any real change to happen, I needed to start finding comfort in the discomfort. So setting boundaries and saying no, it's going to feel awkward, maybe even a little terrifying at first. And that's okay. You don't have to jump into a big confrontation with guns blazing. Start small. Practice saying no to little things, to safe people and safe situations. And when you feel that discomfort creep in, or you feel that guilt creep in, that is a sign that you are making a change. Sit with it before your body tells you to start immediately pleasing and shape-shifting and trying to make the other person feel comfortable. You need to make yourself comfortable with the discomfort. You are the priority here. Next, we need to reframe how we see boundaries. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They're fences. They're meant to protect our own space and energy. And guess what? You deserve to protect your space. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to say what you need. You have lived a life to this point where someone, somewhere, or many someones, somewhere, have helped you to believe that you don't deserve that. And I am here to tell you, everyone in this world deserves to take up space. And by the way, maybe the narcissistic abusers don't, but they're doing it anyway. So you deserve to take their space up. Being a school teacher for as many years as I have, one thing that I know about children is that they benefit from structure. As much as children want or appear to want to roam free and do whatever they want inside of the classroom or at your home, they really thrive on structure, routine, and boundaries. When a child is acting out and they're testing the boundaries so they can see how far they can go. Oftentimes, you will hear an adult reflect back on childhood and say that they wish their parents gave them more boundaries because then they would have felt the love and care. If this resonates with you, think about how you can strengthen your relationships with others by setting those boundaries and showing them where the line is, what to expect. You are making and setting clear expectations for your relationship. You're not pushing people out. You're just saying, here's the line. And this is how we can communicate and exist well together. And lastly, this is a biggie. So if you started multitasking, come back to me. This is the last step. We've got to let go of the need for everyone to like us. I know, this one stings, but you can't make everyone happy, no matter how hard you try. My dad has always told me, Krystal, you can make some of the people happy all of the time. You can make all of the people happy some of the time, but you will never make all of the people happy all of the time. So let go of that idea. You are never going to make all of the people happy all of the time. And likely, you're not going to make all of the people happy some of the time. Someone, somewhere, is going to call you a bitch. They might even think that you are one because you are not bending to their will. Let them. Their opinion does not define your worth. Most people don't even care what you are doing. They are spending 90% of their time worried about what everyone else is thinking about them, that they're not even worried about you. But for those few people that might consider you a bitch for not listening to them, that's their issue. That's their problem. Repeat with me. Their opinion does not define my worth. And as an aside, think of a strong, powerful woman you know who sets boundaries, someone you admire, or maybe this is the first time you're recognizing, oh my gosh, that person I like is really good about setting boundaries. Is your first thought, bitch? Or do you have some envy there? Do you admire her for holding her boundaries, communicating what she wants and needs? There was a time in my life where I didn't want somebody who was straightforward and didn't bend to what I wanted. But that was a time I was feeling really insecure and I was in my teens. But as somebody who is considered a millennial, I'm way past that now. And I think most of you listening to that are past this too. I'm personally all about bad bitch energy. After people pleasing for most of my life though, it rarely comes across as bitchy. And for my people pleasers out there, if you start communicating boundaries after all of these years of people pleasing, it's not going to come across bitchy. It's going to come across clear and kind. You don't have a bitchy bone in your body. If other people are thinking that, remember, their opinion does not define your worth. You're going to come across as respectful and clear, just the way I do with people. Unless, of course, you think I sound like a bitch right now. But if not, this can be you too. All right, we've covered a lot today. People pleasing feels good because of those hidden perks, but it's also holding us back. The good news, we can start to let it go step by step. Start small. Practice discomfort. And most importantly, remember, you don't owe anyone your yes, just to keep the peace. If this hit home for you and you're ready to dig deeper and let go of that old good girl identity for something stronger, more authentic, and a little bit more badass, I'd love to support you on this journey. You can reach me on Instagram at Complete Coaching with Krystal, or visit my website, krystalsentinello.com, to learn more about how we can work together. You don't have to do this alone. I'm here for you. All right, that's it for today. Don't forget to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay true, and remember, you've got this.